Welcome back to my Golf Fantasy Podcast. I'm Ryan, that's Wendell. A lot to get through today. Houston Open last week, which was, I guess, a bit of an emotional finish for, the players involved. And we're at the Valero this week, again in Texas. So back-to-back Texas stops. But let's go through last week at the Houston Open. Great event and, feel-good story. If you want to touch on that, Wendell, what happened?
Yeah, the Houston Open, it gave us one of the best stories of the season. Gary Woodland completed an emotional comeback after brain surgery, as well as kind of all the PTSD stories that we've been hearing this year about him really struggling there. He just dominated the field, going wire to wire. Great to see. I mean, nothing's better than a story like that where somebody has faced so much adversity in their life and has come back and was able to put together 4 solid rounds and win. It was incredible to watch. We also saw some young talent emerge, some scoring fireworks too. Knapp 62 course record, and a lot of volatility heading to Masters week. So but it's exactly what you want as a kind of as a final tune-up here. Woodland, just to kind of touch on him, he won at -21, his first PGA Tour victory in 7 years, went wire to wire. As I mentioned, he had brain surgery in 2023, ongoing battle with PTSD, won by 5 shots, just a dominant performance. It just goes to show, right? I mean, when you keep fighting through adversity, like anything can happen. He's a perfect example of that. It was incredible to see, very emotional for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple like in golf feel good stories, this season. Which it's fun to see golfers overcoming, personal battles to, regain some of the form that they had in the game of golf, right? So it is. There are a couple feel good stories that have emerged this year in golf as a whole, whether it be on Live or in the PGA. But yeah, it was fun to watch. And to be honest, when he started playing well, it kind of took me by surprise to see, Woodland's name at the top and then maintain that position. Guys will go, first round leader, second round leader, and then fall off. Good on him to continue to hold that and take it right to the end, and pretty commanding, and that for him, that emotional walk up 18. He was waving to the crowd, cheering for himself, and at that point, you can miss 3 putts and still win. So you're kind of
Pressure's
like you
off,
got,
yeah.
yeah, it's in the bag at that point.
Yeah, no, it was an emotional sight for sure. And the last time I can remember, again, this is for me personally, and again, it was a much different situation, but was Tiger's Masters victory. That was the last time like tears were brought to my eyes, similar to this one, for different reasons, obviously, but still, Tiger faced a lot of adversity, came back and put the game together, and I think it was 2019 Masters. Yeah, it was great to see. There's also 3 hole-in-ones at this tournament, which you don't see often. Lowry made one, Adam Scott and Cole Hammer. That was Lowry's 4th actual career hole-in-one on the tour. I'd like to make one in my lifetime, but
Hey, well, while we're on that, just for fun, how close have you been?
I've been inches. Like I've definitely been inches. I've had some tap in, kick in birdies where I wasn't bringing my putter with me, but had some lip outs. But it's so yeah, I've been close. I've actually had an albatross, but not a hole-in-one.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, so I made a 2 on a par 5 3 years ago. Went driver, 4 iron, and you couldn't see the hole. It was in like a little bit of a gully, and I hit it really well, and it was up around the green somewhere. And sure enough, there was a maintenance guy working in the bunker, and I was looking around the green looking for it, and he was like, "It's in the hole! It's in the hole!" So I don't have an eagle, I don't have a hole-in-one, but I've got a 2 on a par 5. So
I mean, I think I might take that over the other
it's
two.
harder. It's harder to
It's
do
much
because
harder.
you need 2 good shots to get an albatross. Where hole-in-one, you only need 1. So I think maybe it trumps the hole-in-one for sure.
Yeah, sure. I've come close, but a couple inches, maybe 5, 6.
Yeah.
One time it ball rolled behind the hole and I thought it went in, but it was behind the hole, like behind the flagstick by about like 6, 7 inches. And I was just like, I was excited standing at the tee. I'm like, I'm telling you, it went in. Drive up there and you can start to see the ball like reappear. I'm like, fuck, that's gone. So
Yeah, it's tough to do. That's for sure. No, it was definitely another highlight. You don't see 3 hole-in-ones at a tournament very
no.
often, if one, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So that's great. So let's start talking about what we did last week. We had some pretty good picks in our fantasy lineups, and we had some pretty shitty picks in our fantasy lineups. But I was victorious. Do you mind if I go first?
yeah,
Kind of
winner
excited
takes the
about
honors.
mine.
Yeah,
So I had Minwoo Lee. He was the returning defending champion at the Houston Open. And he started off -2, kind of scared me a little bit, like he might, because players went low day one. And -2 was like you're down 30 spots. So I was like, I don't know if he has it, to run it back, but drops to -7, 63 on day two, and that's when I thought he was gonna catch Gary Woodland. Gary still had, I think, 5 shots on him after day two. Like he was still and him and who else was at second place? I can't remember now. Anyways, they were running away with it, and Lee was just behind them both. But he had a fantastic round.
Yeah, Hogard was up there, I think.
Yeah, Nick Hogarth was up there. Yeah.
Yeah, Hogard was up there. Goddard even was we kind of made a push there on the last day, but yeah, I think it was really between Woodland, Hogard, Kiefer, and Lee. Those were like
Yeah.
the main ones.
So Minwoo, fun thing, he had all 4 rounds under 70. Good, one bogey free round. He only had 8 total bogeys, 21 birdies in the round with one eagle. Played fantastic. And in any normal event, like -15, we said it was going to be between -15 and -20. So he was right there, but definitely he played well. Good to have him in my lineup. Good pick. Followed by Jake Knapp. 4 eagles for Jake Knapp on the weekend. Crazy. One bogey free round, but he had 2 doubles. Kind of hurt him. Probably cost him, the third place finish
Round three
with
killed him. Yeah, round three killed
+1
him.
in round three. And the thing is, and then he shoots the -8 in the final round.
Yeah,
And, I thought it was going to be a bit of a dud pick. Follow, like, you're spending $9,500. He was ranked 5-6 on DraftKings. And going to the final round, he was, mid-20s to 30th
right.
position, and then had a phenomenal finish to the tournament. If that third round could have, done something there, he could have been good for him. And then probably my worst pick of the weekend was Ryan Gerard. Missed the cut, goes +4, -4. Now, at the end of the day one, I think the cut line would have been -1, so I knew he was going to finish around -2. And I saw some guys go low, right? We had like 5 or 6 golfers, hit the -6, and I thought he could pull it off, especially how he started his round. But got to -4, couldn't pull it off, finished even par for the tourney. So that was the double bogey killed him. I mean, he went like bogey, bogey, double bogey in round one at one point. Just devastating start for the tournament for him. One of my favorite picks, and you the week before picked Tagala as your guy. Again, he gave you shit. I said that wasn't the tournament to pick him; it was this one, and so I put him in my lineup. And top 10 finish, 85.5 points on DraftKings. The interesting thing, okay, so he has all 4 rounds under 70. Great pickup on DraftKings for that. No eagles, which is like, for me, Tagala is I'm going to capitalize on par fives. I'm going to bomb it out there and capitalize on some eagle chances. And no eagles, 17 birdies, 5 bogeys. Pretty solid. Tagala getting 5 bogeys in 4 rounds. Like, to me, I'm expecting 3 eagles and 12
Yeah,
bogeys. Like,
a lot of
so,
volatility with his game normally.
yeah. So played very solid. -3, -3, -4, -2. Super consistent. Kind of cool from somebody is $7,600 on DraftKings. Put up 85.5 points. Not spectacular because he missed out on the Eagles. But still solid performance. Then I had Ryan Fox, missed the cut. And he missed the cut, +2, +1. He just didn't have it this weekend. 8 bogeys, 5 birdies. Just that's what he was. But my favorite pick next to Degala was Yelamarju. Okay, so I've been following this guy since the beginning of the season. And fun thing about him, I think I said last week, doesn't have a golf coach. Used YouTube videos to learn how to play golf. 18 birdies, an eagle, only 5 bogeys and a double. 2 bogey free rounds, every round under 70. Fantastic performance. -1, -4, -5, -3. Super solid, consistent play. I finished 108 points, finished tied for 6th. Uh, a lot of fun to watch him. I might, and you can see this week, I might be riding this guy for the next little while. Like, he is just, you can't deny, the last 3 rounds, or the last 3 tournaments, he had the tied for 6th, tied for 5th, tied for 17th. So, I mean, young kid, 24, 25 years old, just got his tour card this year. He didn't have the success on Corn Ferry last year. So it's very, very nice to see this guy come out almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, he's from Winnipeg too. Winnipeg, Canada, I think, is where his family or where he's originally from.
So interesting. When he moved to Canada, he moved to Winnipeg
Right.
from India. That's where his family's from. And then when he got good at golf, he's like, I'm not living in Winnipeg, and he moved to Ontario. And it was funny actually. Through some contacts, he played the Ontario Championships, Junior Ontario Championships against some acquaintances of mine, friends of friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they know each other well. So soon I might be maybe hitting some people up for some tickets, especially when that Canadian Open comes around.
Absolutely.
But 467 on DraftKings for points, pretty solid. Gotten the money,
Yeah, he
nice result.
beat me by a few there. I was looking like, had we combined our lineups, which,
Yeah,
maybe we should do that this week. We should do one lineup together where we each pick a player and see how we do. 'Cause had we taken out let's see here, Fox and Gerard, and we put in something like Day and Finau,
fi-
we got a lineup that's up there. Obviously, we still don't have the winner or anybody, or the second. Well, did you have the second place guy? No, you had third.
third.
But
Yeah, but that puts us top 100
that puts us top
probably.
100 probably easy, right? So maybe we should see. Maybe our brains, we just need to combine them to make an elite lineup here, because we're just missing one or two. Because I had a very similar, like, obviously your lineup performed much better because you had a few guys, multiple guys in the top 10. 67. I was 412, so definitely well behind you. You already spoke about Jake Knapp. Really not much to say there. That final round 62 course record really catapulted him up there to a top 10 finish, which was great to see. I watched round one and part of round two, actually, and followed Wyndham Clark quite closely because he was my golf guy. And it was so frustrating to watch. He'd put a string together of two or three birdies, then he'd make double, then he would put a string together. Then he'd hole out from 77 yards for eagle. Then he would make a double. And the guy just couldn't play consistently. He made really poor errors with wedges in his hands. Just couldn't quite get the distance dialed. He was overshooting greens. He had good alignment. On the right path, but just couldn't quite get his distances, and it was frustrating to see. Obviously, went +4, -2. His second round was much better, but the first round was just a struggle. One of my then we kind of go into Keith Mitchell here. Again, he was a guy who was high, and I thought he was a good value play at 8,200. And I love where he finished. Tied for 14th, 8,200, middle guy. I'm fine with that. His round three really hurt him at +1. He had 18 birdies, six bogeys, and one bogey free round for 82 points. And, at 8,200 and being really my third guy on the board here, I'm fine with a top 15 finish. I had my other guys finish where they need to be. Like, this lineup would have performed quite well. But my best pick, I think, of the week on my end, I feel like, was Jason Day. One of the bigger value picks there at 8,000. Came tied for six at -13. He was just consistently solid. I mean, he was -2. His best round was his second round, -7, then -2, -2. He had all rounds under 70, one bogey free round, one stretch of three birdies. He only had one double bogey and five bogeys the whole tournament, followed along with 20 birdies. So at 102.50, like that, he was 6.5% owned, very low ownership, 8,000. I think he was the best play here this week for me. One of the biggest sore spots in my lineup and underperformers was definitely Pendrith. You and I both kind of said, hey, this
Yeah.
guy was on our radar, somebody that we thought really this golf course aligned really well with his game, right? I mean, he's a bomber, somebody who, he shouldn't have gotten much trouble, but there's a lot of water, and he, unfortunately ended up there more than he would have wanted to. So is
Yeah, and
+5
the
round one.
crazy thing about him too, like, and yeah, he missed the cut, was how many bogeys and double bogeys and the lack of birdies that he got for that course. It's so on because he is a great driver, and I believe it, like, around the green, he's like top
He's top
notch.
15. Yeah, he's top 15 around the
Yeah,
green. Nobody realizes that. It's really a undervalued part of his game. And to your point, yeah, like, he made no birdies in two rounds. Like, he had two birdies, six bogeys, and one double. It's like, even if you look at Wyndham Clark, even though he only played two rounds, he had eight birdies and an eagle. And so it's Penrith just couldn't make any putts, and, like, he put himself in bad spots. He did get up and down for par a lot, which again was part of his game that we said was going to be good, but just, 27 pars in two rounds, just couldn't get it done. So and then I went with Tony to round out, and again, okay performance by Tony. This has kind of been status quo for him lately, coming kind of top 40, top 50. He was -3, -1, -3, put himself in a decent spot to kind of have a top 20 performance, but shot 71 +1 in round four, ultimately coming tied for 30 now. So definitely fine with that at 7,600. but the lineup didn't perform where I needed to. And as I mentioned, maybe this week we do something fun and do a combined lineup and see if we can't figure something out here.
Let's do that. Let's discuss that after we give our lineups at the end. Let's pick our three players from our lineups that we think are going to perform. See if we can get one
Merge
lineup
one, yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah, let's do that. But well, as we go to get into it, let's talk about the Valero Texas Open at the TPC San Antonio. Great event, and one of those events where you don't got a ton of marquee names, but you got some pretty big names in this
yeah.
one. What's the course like?
Yeah, so par 72, decent distance, kind of an average 7,435 yards. It's where it's playing. It's the Oaks course, muted greens. Previous winner here was Brian Harmon. I don't think he's in the field this week, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking through. I don't think he is. Play might be a little quicker because of that. But some of the key course traits here. So much narrower fairways than the team's going to be used to from last week at Houston. The rough is going to be an issue. If you miss the fairway, the rough, it's penal rough. They're firm, fast greens with a lot of runoff. So if your approach shots aren't dialed up here, you're going to leave yourself. They're long par fours too, so you're going to leave yourself a decent distance into par fours. If you're not hitting greens, you're going to put yourself in some really bad spots where it's going to be difficult to get up and down. Here, which always is a play in Texas, is the wind. It's depending on how windy it gets, this course can change quite a bit. As I mentioned, some longer par fours, and those can get even longer if they're playing into the wind. And guys, approach shots are going to be critical here. This is really a second shot golf course. And with the wind in play, the scoring conditions, we might see -20, -25 if there's no wind and it's soft. But if there's some wind, you might see guys in like kind of -5 to -10 range finishing and winning this tournament. And that's how difficult it can kind of swing here with the winds. On average, scores anywhere between -10 to -15 though, and it's a course where I already mentioned kind of the difficult par fours. Several are in the 450 to 500 plus range. So key stat to look at when you're picking some of your guys would be par four scoring perhaps in that 400 to 500 range, because that's where guys are going to be able to kind of set themselves away from the field here if they're able to score on those and limit the mistakes. There's limited easy birdies at this course. The par fives are scoreable, but they're not automatic. Obviously, you're going to have to capitalize on them to separate from the field, but they're not easy. And so some of the key signature holes here that we'll talk about, hole 18, it's a par five finishing hole. Again, it's a scoring opportunity here. Eagles are in play, but it's also a hole that has seen some pretty big numbers, bogeys and doubles, or even something that occasionally pop up here on 18. And so it's a hole that, again, I feel like a lot of these tournaments have kind of that signature hole where you're coming in. That's going to be exciting and provide an exciting finish, and that's one of them. Hole 16 is a long par three. It's actually one of the toughest holes in the golf course. Very exposed to the wind. It's a hole you're going to see play the most over par. Bogeys are a very common score. Players want to get in with par here and leaves. Kind of in that final stretch at 16, 17, 18, it kind of similar to some of the previous tournaments. It's going to make or break a lot of people's rounds. And there's a few others that we could talk about. Some of the other long par fours that are long and tight, but those would be kind of some of the key signature holes here this week.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, when you're trying to pick out key stats of what we're going to look for, the thing you hit on is the approach game. Right, this is a second shot golf course, so strokes gained approach is probably the one that you're wanting to look at. So, but you can combine that with a few others. Hitting greens in regulation, the approach from 175 to 200. Like, you look at that combination of see where you're going to get the most well-rounded golfer. But strokes gained approach is probably like the best metric to probably look at for this type of golf course. As much as okay, then we talk about off the tee, right? Because that's also a pretty tricky part here. If you can stay within the fairway, it gives you a lot easier chance to, obviously go and attack the green, attack the flagstick. But these are kind of tight fairways to hit. So you can't be too crazy, right? So the bombers here might not be the guy that you want to pick this week. Remember, we went from like a non-bomber course to a bomber course to a now non-bomber course, right? So, that transition for like probably won't see a lot of guys we took last week in this week's lineups because of that kind of change in the course dynamic. So strokes gained off the tee, again, something to look at. Driving accuracy, probably more advantage than driving distance in this case. So, number two to look at that. And then around the green. So this one's an interesting one, right? So like I'd say that you can almost combine like greens and reg and around the green, right? Because if you're on the green a lot, you shouldn't really have to worry too much around the green. But like you mentioned, there's some runoffs when that wind gets high, harder to control the ball, and you're going to be taking shots from off the green. Right. And you got to put them close, got to put them tight to get some scoring opportunities. So yeah, I say like a tier three type, stat to look at is around the green. It's highly likely that you're going to be playing shots from off the green. That will be challenging, especially with the windy conditions. So I'd say those are probably the three stats we probably want to look at, from the main stats, stroke gained approach, off the tee, and then around the green. But yeah, feel free to break some of those out. Like I mentioned, the approach distance, the par four scoring from that distance, right? 400, 500, right? There's some long ones, greens and reg. And yeah, I think that's probably where we want to try to look for maybe the best characteristics for the golfer that can perform well here this week.
Yeah, 100%. I think the only one I'd maybe add there is players who maybe, and this might not be a strokes gain metric, but something else you want to look at is players who typically perform well in windy conditions. Obviously, it's something that yeah, a lot of players like it when it's play well when it's calm and the conditions are easy, but players play well when the conditions are difficult, where you really have to take one, two, maybe even three club difference here on some of these shots and perform. And ones who play well in the wind, and I'll talk about some of those in my lineup here in a second. But that's going to give you a good indication on as well as some of those other metrics on if your guy's a solid pick here this week. So
Yep, I agree. So, do you want to lead it off? You want me to take care of our lineups for this week, or you want to go my golf guy first?
yeah,
Let's
sure. Let's
let's
jump
do
into
that.
my golf guy first.
You start. This is interesting. I don't know why you picked this guy, but please convince me.
Yeah, I haven't picked him yet, right? I don't think from our
Not
previous
for my golf guy,
no,
no.
I haven't picked him yet. So yeah, I kind of went with a little bit more of a gut feel, and I don't know if you guys remember early on, and as we started doing this, I had a few gut plays. I kind of got away from it, and I started doing the Ryan Owen statistic, analysis, and it hasn't really worked for me a little bit the last couple of weeks. So I said, okay, let's go with a gut play, but a statistical gut play. And this week, my golf guy is Tony Finau. Now, there's a number of different reasons for this, and I'll hit on the main one in a second. But Tony's been inconsistent this year. He's got 3 missed cuts, but he hasn't missed a cut since the waste management. He's made 5 consecutive, including 2 top 18 finishes in that time frame. And when you look at some of the statistical, his stats, he's strong overall. He's a strong overall tee to green player. He's kind of average in that this year in that. Historically, he's above average in approach as well. This year again, he's kind of he's definitely in the upper half, not where we want him to be, or sorry, the bottom half, not where we want him to be. But why does it fit here? So distance helps on long par fours, and he's a guy who statistically is typically pretty good from 175 to 200-yard range when he's dialed. Now, again, are we getting the Tony that's going to make the cut and is dialed, or are we getting the Tony that's going to miss the cut and not even come close? That's kind of the difference here. But what has really put this guy into my radar was he's played well here in the past. He won here in 2023. So he's 3 years out, kind of away from his last win here on this course. He feels comfortable here. He's typically a good player in those windy conditions when he's got to think a bit. I find when Tony gets into some of those courses where he's able to just try to bomb it and do whatever he needs to do off the tee, he doesn't really have to be as he doesn't have to strategize as much. That's when, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to perform as well on those courses. And so I think this really is a course that makes him think, and he knows it well. And so not only do I think he's massive value at his price point this week in DFS, which I'll talk about, but he's a proven winner. So that's why I took Tony. And again, more of a gut feel play along with his previous experience here. But I think he's going to end up being a solid value pick here for everyone this week.
I respect that. I'm a fan of Tony. I do like Tony. I just don't know if his game's there. And actually say that he has performed well the past few weeks. Like the start of the season probably wasn't so great for him, but I can see him really coming through. He's a great golfer.
Yeah.
So,
I
I
mean,
mean, there's no denying.
he's got like 12 kids or something, doesn't he? So I mean, the early on in the season, he's still trying to, get his groove back and get out
Is
of
it
dad mode.
is that why you play so many tournaments?
It might be. It might be why.
All right, so this week I think I went with a little more gut feel than statistical thing, only because I'm picking a rookie for my golf guy this week. It's Yella Marju. So I've been high on this guy. I picked him last 2 weeks in my lineups. He's done really well, and he is one of those golfers that is now playing some of the most consistent golf of anybody on tour. Okay, as a rookie. He finished tied for sixth at the Houston, tied for fifth at the Players, tied for 17th at Cognizant. And, when you pick out some of these stats that we've been talking about, he kind of fits it. And there's one stat he doesn't fit, but there's a couple stats he does. So he's third on tour for strokes gained approach. He's a 26th strokes gained off the tee, and he's 28th green in regulation. Okay. So he's essentially 25th in the world off the tee on his approach shots and putting the ball on the green. I'm counting on that because his around the green play is 123rd. Okay. So I need him to hit quality golf shots like he can and put the ball on the green and let the rest work itself out. Set him up for some birdie looks, some eagle looks if he can, and let's roll with that. And that is exactly what his game is. And that's exactly how he's been performing the last 3 events. So I think Yella Marju can continue his play. There's no reason why he can't. Is he going to have off tournaments? Yeah, sure. But I'm going to ride a guy who's hot right now, and maybe, one of some of the hottest golfers on tour. And I think he's going to perform well.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick based on his previous kind of last couple rounds or last couple tournaments he's been in. I mean, he's a rookie, obviously, so his first go around here at this course, the winning conditions. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but yeah, he's a good
Well,
pick.
it was his first at was of course last week Memorial, and it was first at Sawgrass, right? So like he's playing some of these courses for the first time and still
Yeah,
performing very well.
yeah, this is true.
In some situations, it could be an advantage, maybe playing for the first time. Let's say you still get your practice rounds in, right? So you still know what the course is.
Yeah,
You're not thinking, oh, you remember in 2019 when I hit that shot, oh, I could do that again, and then you screw it up this time. It's just
yeah,
like, it might be, I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage to play a course a ton of times because, tell Tiger that at Bay Hill, right? But it's a situation where I don't know if he's overthinking any shot at the moment. It's just like, okay, I'm 150. It's this
yeah.
club. It's this, that's the wind. Put it on the pin, put it center of the green, and I'm done. And I'm hoping he's continuing this mentality throughout, the early part of his career.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's a good one. Did you want me to go through my lineup here?
Yeah, let's start with your lineup. To be honest, there are 2 consensus picks, so why don't you go for it, and we can all probably already check off 2 in the box of who we want on our lineups.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a couple there that we're very much on the same wavelength on. My first was a guy who's been playing extremely well this year already is Siwoo Kim. So he's at 9600. But his price point's good. Like some of the other guys you could take, above him, obviously Fleetwood's at 10,500, Auberge 10,100, McIntyre 9,900. I thought at 9,600, like I like him more than all those guys. Couple reasons, obviously. He's got, like, just talking about his year here already, he's got 5 top 15 finishes this year. Best finish was second at Farmers. Most recently, he came tied 50th at the Players. Took a week or 2 off there, and now he's kind of back at it. But looking at his statistical game, he's number 1 in proximity from 100 plus yards on the tour this year. Um, he's elite long iron play, 175 to 200. He's well above average. He's one of the best wind players in the world. If you look at some of his finishes on courses where the wind has been quite in play, he's typically one of the guys you'll see him at the top of the leaderboard. And again, because he gains strokes on approach and around the green, as you already kind of talked about. Those are his 2 areas that are kind of most important this week. Those are 2 of his strongest areas, and he's one of the best. And also, if we look at some of the course history, he won here in 2021. So we've got a guy who's at 9,600. He's not breaking the bank. One of the best iron players. He's elite. He's won here. Both kind of key stats that we want to look at. He's in the top tier in the tour, and I think he's a no brainer and one of the best picks this week in that price range.
Just on that too, and if you look at DraftKings, it gives you the fantasy points, frequent fantasy points. He is the highest on the list.
Mhm.
Average scoring, he's the highest average scorer on the list. Or sorry, the lowest. Obviously, the lowest better. He has the lowest average score. He's 4 top 10s, 9 of 9 cuts made. Like, he's statistically, even with the statistics you gave, but even in DraftKings statistics, he's the best golfer on the board
Yeah.
statistically.
It's crazy how he's still $900 less than Tommy Fleetwood, right? I mean, nothing against Fleetwood, nothing against Auberge, but like, Auberge has been inconsistent this year a little bit. He's kind of coming on lately, but I'd take Siwoo all day. And he's performed well when he's been in my lineup. So there's that kind of bias that I've got towards him as well, obviously. Yeah, he's just a solid play. And taking him instead of Fleetwood really allows me to like go here as well. And I went back to back with guys in like the mid nines with Colin Morikawa. I think you've got him in your lineup as well. And he's his last four starts. Let's just bring him off here. And this is going furthest away to most recent, but one at Pebble, tied for seventh at Genesis, fifth at Arnold Palmer. He withdrew to the Players due to back injury 2 weeks ago, but he's had 2 weeks to get that right. So I'm not concerned with that. He's coming back. He's number two in the strokes gained approach on tour, number one in a majority of the ball striking metrics. He is the best in field when it comes to 150 to 200 yard proximity. He's a great wind control player. Doesn't have obviously this course is a second shot golf course, as we mentioned, and Morikawa is a second shot player. So I love him for all those reasons. And I think again, 9,400, he's going to be somebody who, again, I could kind of stack up with Siwoo here out of that top heavy lineup and be really happy with those first two picks.
And also, strokes gained off the tee, he's still top 20.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to be like hitting some out of like bad conditions or rough spots. He's still a solid off the tee player. And even his greens and reggers he's second in greens and reg on tour. This guy, you're rhyming off top 5 first overalls and top 20s across all major metrics that we've discussed in this podcast.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. And I get why like Fleetwood is at 10,500. I mean, again, he's elite, when it comes to his approach and iron ability. Like, I'm going to save money and take these two guys and sat these two guys over taking him and having to water down my lineup a little bit on the top ends. Really like those first two guys. I think they both have an excellent shot at winning this tournament and, having very strong finishes, if not. I went again with my top heavy lineup with a guy who was really on earlier on the year. I was pretty much picking him for every tournament. Then I got away from him. As you mentioned, he was on my bench a little bit after a few performances that, didn't quite meet his value. I think at 9,300, Hideki Matsuyama is another guy again who I just couldn't leave off my lineup. I've been fading him a little bit, like I mentioned recently, but the stats don't lie here. I mean, he's got 4 top 15 finishes this year. Best finish was second at Waste Management. He's been top 40 in every event he's played. Historically, every year, this guy is a top 10 strokes gained approach player on the tour. He's elite iron player, especially with some of those mid to long irons. He's in the top half of the tour and with his 175 to 225 approaches as well, which I think is going to be key here. He's got high ball flight, elite spin control, and he thrives in difficult scoring conditions. If you look at tournaments that he performs extremely well in, they're all very difficult courses. So I think when it comes to him, like he's perfect for this long par 4 heavy setup. And again, approach as the main stat we're going off of. I don't think you can get much better than Hideki. And he's again at 9,300. I think he's a great value. I've been saying it all year. Like this guy should be at 10K, for most tournaments. And if you can get him in the low nines, take him every time. So he's kind of round out my big heavy hitter top 3 lineup here so far.
Yeah. So let's just touch on that for a quick second. You got 3 $9,000 players, which means now you're going to have to go lower down on the board to try to find some guys who are going to perform. Did you pick those 3 guys first and then went lower down on the board, or did you?
I didn't.
How'd you do
No,
it?
I identified the 3 guys that I really wanted at the top to start. Well, first I ruled out Fleetwood, Auberge, McIntyre, Henley in my mind, and so then I was like, okay, what guys do I want here at the top that I really like to build out my lineup? I said I want a top heavy one for this event. There's not a lot of big names in it, but but there's a lot of great iron strikers. So what 3 guys can I say are I think on the elite tier here, which can be value plays. And those are the 3 guys that I thought were the value plays for that upper tier of players in this tournament. So that's why I took them. And then I said, okay, now I've got to start like piecing together my lineup. I actually went to the bottom at this point. I was like, okay, I kind of had an idea that I wanted Tony, and we're going to talk about Tony in a second, which I already did. But I kind of had an idea about Tony, but I wasn't quite set on him yet. So I went to the bottom and I took a guy that's probably not on anybody's radar, Sally Valimaki at 6,600. There's a few other guys there I liked. I'm just looking through some of the 66 ones. I think you have one of them, Vegas. Yeah, Jonathan Vegas was one of them that I liked a lot. There's a few there, but I like this guy for a number of different reasons. He's had a good stretch of PGA Tour starts, from Waste Management to the Genesis. He's struggled the last couple weeks, so he's a bit of a gut play here with strong upside. The reason I like him, so he's got a European Tour background. So he comes from a place where like he's used to these windy conditions, playing courses that are very windy, that are a little bit that are very similar to what this course is going to throw at these players. So he's comfortable in the winds, he's comfortable in firm greens. He's a solid long iron player. Can't really go off much course history here, but at 6,600, I was like, okay, I'll take a guy who's DP World Tour. He's got a few wins, over on that side of the world that I think that can really come in here and make sense. At 6,600, thought it was a good play. So went with kind of a gut feel at Sammy. Then I went to Tony at 7,400. I jumped back up to like a mid sevens. Again, I've already talked about him. Inconsistent this year. Again, more of a gut feel play, but I think he's a solid, strong strokes gained tee to green player and normally above average when it comes to approach numbers. And he's won here. So I'd always like to look at guys who have won here. They're normally really comfortable, and it kind of proves like, hey, he's somebody who can perform in these windy conditions and come on top. So I think he can be a really, really, really good value play this week, especially at his price point being 7,400 in a previous winner here. So that's why I like Tony. And then I kind of had to look at a few different plays here. I had roughly about 7,700 left. Looking at some of the situation, some of the guys here, he's in your lineup and he was $100 more than I could afford. There's other guys, Kawhi Kuti, but he's out. I liked Rico Hoey. He was on my radar a little bit.
Jordan Smith finished well last week.
Yes. Yeah. Jordan Smith finished well last week.
Rogers playing well.
Rogers, even somebody kind of like, Bazoodenhout's pretty consistent. But I kind of went with another guy who I thought, and this is kind of a little bit of a strategy that I want to play here. And again, this is kind of a little bit of a gut feel lineup towards the bottom half, but Chris Kirk, he's going to be low owned. And he's got the game to really, make an impact here this week, I think. Again, another inconsistent year so far. It has been for him, especially early on, but he's turned it around in his last 3 events, including a top 30 finish at the Players. So he's got a very balanced game, or kind of his game is very balanced. I mean, he's normally middle of the pack strokes gained approach, middle of the pack around the green, strong like proximity to the hole player though. He puts himself in some positions to score, but he's one of the better grinders on tour. He's a really good scrambler. He's a guy who has excelled in tough, windy setups in the past. And I think he's got a high floor with a lot of sneaky upside. And somebody who I think just is great to kind of piece in there. That's going to be low owned, but could perform very well here this week. Went off the board again with my kind of bottom 3 picks there, but all ones that I think have the ability to not just make the cut here this week, but have pretty strong showings. So that rounds out my my lineup this week.
Yeah, I mean, we've picked 2 of the same guys, so I like it. I think it's solid. Kirk's also, he's an Eagle guy, right?
He is, yeah.
He can pop in some Eagles. That's points on DraftKings, and then that can move him up the leaderboard, jump a few spots if he needs to. So he's got some good parts of his game to him for sure. So, listen, I'm not too dissimilar from how you kind of picked your lineup. I didn't go quite as top heavy, only because I found value in that kind of tier 2 range. And this is more like, I'll call it the rookie heavy type lineup. But we'll start with, I picked Morikawa first, and we talked about it. He's just tops in so many categories that you can't deny him being very good here. I think he has 1 start here, and it's not a good one. I think it was tied for 75th.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up, but if you want.
But it's like, he also never plays here, right? And it's just like, and I said this earlier, it doesn't mean you're going to play bad, right? Players will come in this guy's an elite player. He played here. He knows the course a little bit. So I'm not worried about it, but his ball striking is just too good to overlook him for
I always
sure.
my hesitancy with them was with this tournament specifically was if he didn't withdraw at the Players, would he still be in this field? Because it's kind of like the Masters tune-up, right? Is he just is he coming in to get tuned up here for the Masters this week? Is that kind of what this tournament's about? See how the back's doing. So, but I agree, all the stats are there, all the numbers are there. That was the only thing in the back of my mind where I was like, where's his mindset at this week? Is it obviously these guys once they start playing, it's to win the tournament, no doubt. But kind of like, is this just to see how my back is, or are we coming to win? And I hope it's to win, but
Yeah. I mean, if it's not to win, why show
why
up,
show
right?
up? Yeah.
And guys of that caliber, like Morikawa, they're there to win,
Flip a
right?
switch. They can't turn it off. It is what it
Yep.
is. Yeah.
Well, it's like that interview with Tiger a few years back, when he was young and someone called him cocky for trying to go out and win every event. He goes, "That's what I'm here to do. This is
Yeah.
why I play the game."
Yeah. Why
You know?
play if you're not playing to win for sure?
Exactly. This my second guy was your third guy. It was Hideki. A similar thing, like you said, elite ball striking. Also sneaky thing about him, he's fifth in strokes gained around the green as well. So let's say he's even not even hitting the green because his iron game is just that little bit off. He's still so good around the green.
Mhm.
So this guy just has the game to perform well here again. So he also has a tied for seventh, tied for 15th, tied for 30th in 3 of the last 4 years here. So he has history. He knows the course and has performed well almost every single time. So definitely was very easy for me to just put him in the lineup. And you've convinced me over the course of this entire season how great he is, his ball striking. And if he's not 10,000, then you need to take him. So I'm stuck in that mindset now, and he's on my team right now.
He's not going to disappoint. He's not going to disappoint you, buddy.
Can't. And then I went rookies. Okay. So Hisatsune, I took him, so I went with the Japanese combo players there. Also, okay, he's 30th in strokes gained approach. He's 15th in strokes gained off the tee. He's third in greens and regulation, and he's 30th strokes gained around the green. He actually played here last year and finished tied for fifth. Okay. So as much as he's a rookie first full year on tour, Hisatsune to me is a guy that has the game to play well here. But he's also modeled his game after Matsuyama, so it's not a surprise to me that they play a similar style. So I'm hoping that these guys just run the table and knock off everybody else on the board and go Japan 1-2 finish. I'm good with that. And then I picked my golf guy, Yellow. I talked about him. He top six, or tied for sixth, tied for fifth, tied for 17th last 3 events. Did game from stroke stand approach to off the tee and greens and regulation, top 25 essentially on tour. I won't repeat it again, but solid player and has the game to play well here. And those were my first 4 picks. I went with those guys. This is what I want. And then I figured I'd piece together the bottom. And actually, I changed my lineup since you last saw it. But Page is in there. He jumped off the board at me at the $7,800. And because he has played well recently, he got cut last week at the Houston. Tied for fourth at Valspar. He got cut at the Players, but he finished tied for 16th at Genesis. Genesis and the Players, those are 2 premier events. He finishes tied for 16th at Genesis. That's a good performance, right?
Yep.
Obviously, when you go to Sawgrass, that's a tough track getting cut. Finish tied. So when he makes the cut, he's finishing top 15. And he has this weird consistency. Finished top 15, missed the cut. Finished top 5, missed the cut. Well, I mean, this is his on week now, and now it's victory. So on top of that, strokes gained off the tee, he's first on tour. Strokes gained off the tee. And his long approach game is the best part about his approach game that he has. So from 175 to 200 yards on this approach, he's 30th in the world. And that is the best approach game built for him. It's not his wedge play. It's not his, mid irons. It's his mid to long. So I think that the distance and the length of this course actually suits him well, especially with his ability to get off the tee properly, put himself in a good position to go hunting for flag sticks or put it right in the center of the green where he needs to be. Definitely, I do like his game. I like where he's coming as a player. And like you mentioned, he's also a DP Tour guy in previous years. So win factor could play it. I wasn't thinking about it until you said it, but definitely, could make a difference for him this week compared to maybe some of the other players. So and then that left me with 7,100. And the first guy I did go to was Jonathan Vegas, just because I saw him on the leaderboard a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, this guy actually has been playing well. And then I looked at Jonathan Vegas stats, and I didn't like them. So I kind of turned me off that he could perform well here. And Jonathan Vegas is more that bomber type, anyways. He does got a good iron game, but I didn't like it that much. Instead, I switched to Smotherman. Okay. Now, Smotherman, and the reason why I didn't pick Smotherman initially is because I took him in my Valspar lineup and he got cut. And that was coming off of a tied for 13th at the Players. So I kind of like left a small sour taste in my mouth, like, oh, he didn't really actually play that well. And then you look back and you're like, oh, actually, he finished also tied for second at the Cognizant,
Yeah.
right? Like he's doing the exact same thing as
Great finish, cut, cut, great finish, cut, great finish, cut. Yeah.
That's it. He's just
Uh,
going off. So he just got cut. He's going to go with a great finish, right? But interesting. Stroke gained approach, second in the world stroke gained approach. Okay.
wow. Yeah.
He 34th stroke gained off the tee, 15th green in regulation, and he's 22nd in approach from 175 to 200. This guy has, and I was totally shocked when I saw some of these stats from Smotherman.
He wasn't on my radar, but now you're talking about, I'm looking him up, and you're right. Like he cut at Sony Open. Not just does he like have good finish, like does he make the cut and finish okay? He like comes top 10. It's like cut, tied eighth, cut, cut, tied second, cut, tied 13th, cut. So you're right. I mean, the guy just gets cut and then comes top 10 in every event after he comes back.
Yeah. So, and that's why, like, he, when he does play well, he finishes very well. Yeah. Listen, is he going to get cut? I don't know. Pick anybody
He's
in
made
the,
22 cuts, and out of those 22, he's made 9 of them are top 10s. Yeah.
I mean,
Wild.
and think then there's the 13th at the Players that doesn't even get included in that, which is essentially,
Yeah.
right there, a shot
Yeah.
off. So I really like Smotherman, especially at 7,000. Like I said, I went Vegas first, and then I kind of looked him up, and I was hot cold about him. And then when I started going through some of the players, and I found Smotherman, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the guy. That's my lineup. I think I went two top heavy. I went 2 to 3 mid tier. You Page mid tier to lower tier. You pick it,
Yeah.
and then Smotherman definitely down the board at 7,000, which to me I think might be the better value pick or best value pick on the board. That I'm definitely considering and picking. So I think Smotherman and Page, if they can come back off their cuts, that's going to make or break my lineup because I'm confident in the top four. It's what's going to happen. I mean, and Hatsasune and Yalamarju, first time playing these events, or sorry, Hatsasune finished tied for fifth. Yalamarju and Page is their first time playing the events. How well can they perform the first time they're playing? So there's some risk, but
Yeah.
some reward potential.
Yeah, that's it. You got to risk a little bit to get the reward here sometimes in these lineups, and I think your lineup's going to be one that's a little bit contrarian in a lot of ways too, but with a lot of guys who have got a high ceiling potential. So, no, I like the lineup. Like I said, when we go off the air here, we'll piece together a combined lineup because I think we might have something that could be interesting combining some of these there too. So, we'll update everyone next week on how that performs
Yeah.
as well.
Absolutely. But that's it, guys. That's what we got for you this week. Good luck on your DraftKings picks or any pools that you're gonna join. Definitely consider some of the strokes gained metrics and some of the breakdowns in some of those in order to pick the right guys for you and enjoy the tournament.
Yeah, hopefully we gave you some information worth considering in your lineups, and best of luck everybody, and enjoy this one. We'll see you next week.
Enjoy it.